Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wa sallallahu wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam ma ba'd. Islam invites us to everything good. And Islam, when practiced properly, protects us from fitna, from doubtful issues. And one of the important principles in Islam is that the Muslim strives to stay away from things that are doubtful, removing themselves from issues of controversy, from issues that produce chaos, from extremism, etc. All of those things are a part of how a Muslim can safeguard his or her religion. And when a person involves themselves in doubtful matters, issues that they have little knowledge about, or issues that they misunderstand, it illustrates their ignorance, and it illustrates a lack of insight, and it illustrates a lack of wisdom, and even just plain common sense. And when a person involves themselves in fitna and the chaos as a result of getting involved in doubtful issues and doubtful matters, they are unable to distinguish what is lawful and what is unlawful in Islam. They're unable to distinguish tawheed or monotheism from shirk, polytheism. They're unable to distinguish bid'ah, innovation in the religion, which is prohibited, and sunnah, the way of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And they're also unable to distinguish between what is Islamic jihad and terrorism and extremist ideology and extremist actions. All of this has to do with ignorance, and all of this has to do with people involving themselves in things that they shouldn't involve themselves with, and in engaging in issues and matters that are way above their head. And what illustrates for us is the hadith of Abi Abdullah Nu'man ibn Bashir radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma قال سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول إن الحلال بين وإن الحرام بين وبينهما أمور مشتبهات لا يعلمهن كثير من الناس فمن اتقى الشبهات فقد استبر لدينه وعرضه ومن وقع في الشبهات وقع في الحرام. So in this hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Prophet salawatu rabbi wasalamuhu alayhi said, verily the lawful things are clear and the unlawful things are clear. So we should be able to distinguish between lawful and unlawful, between lawful practices and peaceful practices, which are a part of Islam, and extremist, Marxist, communist, terrorist practices and ideologies. We should be able to distinguish that, because the Prophet ﷺ said the halal, the lawful thing, is clear, and the unlawful thing is clear. And then he ﷺ said وَبَيْنَهُمَا أَمُورٌ مُشْتَبِهَاتٌ, and between them are doubtful issues, are issues that are confusing, that aren't clearly lawful and aren't clearly unlawful. We don't know. And then he ﷺ said, لَا يَعْلَمُهُنَّ كَثِيرٌ مِنَ النَّاسِ. He said, and many people are unaware of whether it's lawful or unlawful. He said many people, but he didn't say all people, meaning return back to the scholars of Islam. Return back to Ahl Sunnah, to those people who are firmly grounded in the religion, practicing the religion in accordance with how the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ ordered us to practice it. So لا يعلمهن كثير من الناس. So many people don't know, but the scholars know. And then the Prophet ﷺ said, so whoever stays away from doubtful issues, wouldn't this be good advice? Isn't this good advice for those people who involve themselves in terror and terrorism and extremism? So فَمَنْ اتَّقَى الشُّبَهَاتِ, whoever stays away from shubahat, stays away from those doubtful issues, then they are safe in their religion and in their ird, meaning their honor and their prestige, their honor and so forth, their well-being. So you're protected in your religion and you're protected in your honor when you stay away from extremist ideologies and you stay away from doubtful issues and matters. And then the Prophet ﷺ said, وَمَنْ وَقَعَ فِي شُبَهَاتٍ. And he said, and then the one who involves himself in the doubtful issues, وَقَعَ فِي الْحَرَامِ. He indulges in the unlawful thing. So it shows us, and that is clearly what we see when people involve themselves in doubtful issues, or they involve themselves, and some of the examples would be people involving themselves in extremist practice. For example, those people who believe in attacking people in wanton violence, and then they try to claim that in the name of the Islamic faith. This is a criminal act. And along with that, they are going into doubtful matters, which leads to unlawful matters. So then they involve themselves in haram, because they use haram means to attain their whatever ends they're trying to achieve. And even their ends may not even be praiseworthy ends if it involves violence and killing and slaughtering and kidnapping and etc. So it shows us the infinite, or the wisdom that we can derive if we just return back to the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ and listen to the prophetic advice by staying away from those doubtful issues. If you don't have knowledge about something, seek knowledge about it. Don't just involve yourself because of your religious zeal. Religious zeal will only bring you destruction if it is not built on knowledge. And this is what is evidence all throughout the Quran and all throughout the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ and all throughout the autobiographies of the Salaf as-Salih, meaning the classical scholars from the companions all the way up until those people of today who are of the scholars of the Sunnah. May Allah preserve them all and have mercy upon all those who preceded us. And so, stay away from the doubtful matters. The Prophet ﷺ gave us advice. He said, إِيَّاكُمْ وَالْغُلُوُ, or إِيَّاكُمْ وَالْغُلُوُ, or كما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. So the Prophet ﷺ said, that's beware of extremism. Isn't that sufficient for us? Isn't that text alone enough for us to say, hey, let's stay away from doubtful matters and let's stay away from extremist ideologies. Whenever you hear someone preaching hatred and preaching and exhorting you to attack, fight, kill, then your common sense should ring a bell. And your Islamic foundation, if you are grounded in knowledge, you should become aware, and your senses should ring a bell for you in order to protect yourself from the harm that is being spread. And I ask Allah the Almighty to protect us from any and all kinds of innovation in the religion and any and all kinds of harm and those things which will lead us to harm and harming others. As the Prophet ﷺ said, La darar wa la dirar. There's no harm and there's no harming. So the Prophet ﷺ said all throughout his life, he warned us about avoiding extremism and avoiding any and all kinds of evil. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. Wa sallallahu wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammad.